What's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, captain of IMC Nation here at IMC Base One in Las Vegas. The title of this stream is Why Most Guys Stay Stuck. And I can say that I'm 39. It was amazing. I was talking to this really pretty girl yesterday, and it wasn't real to her that I was a completely different character 12 years ago when I first got into like even just self development. Like that was about year and a half before I met AZD. I was reading all these books on psychology and relationship stuff, whatever. I had gone down, I had awakened to something. My mom actually, in some bitch ass argument that I was having with my own fucking mom about some dumb, who knows, just, uh, and then she called me passive aggressive, and I take it fucking personal. I was like, what the hell is that? And of course, I don't know how to ask her about it. So I just go off to my room because I was visiting for like a week or two or something. I think it was in between when I moved to Florida for a PhD or something like that. And I go to Amazon and I find a fucking passive aggressive book or whatever. But I look at reviews and shit, and I find like the best one or two, and I get them and I read them. And this is like, over the next few months when I go back to Florida, I read them and I'm like, this shit makes sense. Like, whoa, that's I'm waking up to it. So I get other books and watch YouTube videos and whatever. Go to Italy for some PhD type stuff. And in Italy is when I first saw AZD videos on YouTube. And it made a lot of sense, but I remember just like being more attracted to like pick up stuff and like games. So I just went that route. A year later, I circled back to AZD, and that's when I dove into that rabbit hole. And this girl I'm talking to last night just has no idea where I'm coming from. She can't conceive of me not being charismatic, being reserved, being shy, being awkward, stuttering, like just getting tense around her. She can't imagine me smelling like BO and not being groomed handsome and not looking handsome. I had a great body because I was just always an athlete, but it was under just like the most ridiculous clothing. It didn't fit, hand me down shit. Like she couldn't imagine how pathetic I was, which is amazing because I'm not really that different than then. I'm just a little bit more evolved. I'm still the same guy. I've just removed bad habits and replaced them with better habits. The habits of communication, of self care, of understanding my own life and discipline and what am I doing, my trajectory in life. Like I've just changed habits of thinking that results in habits of being that results in what we get in the game and life and whatever. So she can't even conceive of it. Whatever. I let it go. But why most guys stay stuck, I have some reality on it. I've interacted with 10,000 guys on this subject since I began. And I've seen some guys make it, some guys make it further, less far, some guys just completely drop out, guys flip and flip back. And what I mean by flip, like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's the worst thing since Satan. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they're totally honest each time they're saying it. And it's like, whoa, dude, that guy is like crazy. The thing about it is there's too many of them. It's like, oh shit, is everybody crazy? And then when you start having a lot of relationships with girls, they do that shit. You're like, oh shit, are all these girls crazy? And then pretty soon the delusion, I'm just looking for a good girl. It's a delusion, bro. It's a delusion. There's no such thing that I have found. And I jaded? I don't know. Maybe one in a million, sure. Go and find a needle in a haystack and spend your life doing that because I have this other route and it works. Be the kind of man that the woman changes for, and you make a good woman out of any woman. She'll change herself. That's like her nature. So instead of just trying to find what some other man raised to be a perfect girl, you just find, that standards and whatever. You form relationships and she forms in your image instead of like outsourcing it, hoping some other guy did it for you. So why most guys stay stuck, it is an avoidance of reality. They don't want to face reality. I've seen guys stay stuck from a distance, like studying from Australia or whatever for years. I've seen guys stay stuck that are in close proximity. I've seen guys stay stuck that come every once in a while. They visit Vegas every few months or even every couple of years. We've only been in Vegas a couple of years, but there's guys that have visited every couple of years for the last 6 or 8 years. It's like every 2 years, like, but they don't really change. They just grew older a little bit more financially responsible, but actually a little bit further behind in the game. And so they fade out because it's very discouraging to see your brothers get so much better and you want it, but why do they stay stuck? I could say they're not committed, but why? They want it. They pay a lot of money. Like what is it? It's an avoidance of reality. So where are they? If you avoid the bear, then you're over there. If you avoid paying taxes, you were doing something else with your time. Like you're not just non-existing. Avoiding something means you did something else. So if they're avoiding reality, where are they? They're in their head. Reality's out of the mind. Delusion's in the mind. You ever look at yourself in the mirror and your face starts changing the longer you look at yourself? Not because you're tripping, but because you never really look at yourself. You think your face is all symmetric, but the longer you look, you're like, oh shit, my nose is kind of, my eyes are a little, like your ears are a little not level or something. The longer you look, but then you'll see it like warps. It's like a circus mirror because you have ideas in your head that'll change how you see yourself. It's a trip. You are tripping all the time. So if you haven't even faced what you really look like, there's pretty much your whole life. You haven't really looked at your job. You haven't really looked at the girl. You haven't really looked at your relationship to whoever, your mom, your dad. Like it's distorted in your mind because you're not living in reality, you're living in your mind. And that's why guys stay stuck. There is attachment, there is worship. AZD said a long time ago, he doesn't say it anymore. I don't know if he'd even agree with the statement anymore, but I thought it was profound. And even if it's not 100% accurate, it's accurate enough that it should shake a lot of people. And it's basically goes something like the religion of earth. There's all these religions, but they are just like sub-religions of the main religion. The main religion of earth is the worship of one's own mind. Everybody thinks they're right. Everybody can justify why they think what they think. Most people seem to have a lot of resistance to changing their thoughts and habits and ideas about things. Just see a fat guy who wants to get healthy and then see how he changes his relationship to food. He doesn't. Guy who wants to get better at games, see how he changes his relationship to his mom and women. He doesn't. He's attached to his ideas and he's worshiping them. He's clinging to them. His ego will die if he lets go of it. Just like a devout Muslim or Christian or something would die sooner before they give up God and say Jesus is the devil or something. He'd sooner die. That's how people are with their ideas. I would sooner die than fucking admit that I'm wrong about I'm not attractive. I used to think I was attractive. I'm not. I used to think I was good at talking to girls. I'm not. I used to think that I had strong brotherhood. I don't. You'll know that as soon as a girl comes in the picture and takes him away. And now, where's your friend? Or you're that friend. A girl comes in the picture, you stop talking to your friends. What kind of brotherhood is that? That's what girls do. They find a man, and then they leave their family, and, and they pretty much leave all their friends, and they get new friends and a new family. So it's all backwards. Why do guys stay stuck? Because they're stuck in their heads and they're stuck in those ideas. So how do you get out of that? Well, how do you wake up somebody who's sleepwalking? They could fucking freak out on you if you wake them up too jarringly. But how long are you going to let them go sleepwalking? People are just stuck in the ideas in their head, sleepwalking through life. They have good enough ideas that they can function. Like imagine someone was sleepwalking and they had enough ideas like they could wipe their ass and brush their teeth and drive a car, but they're really asleep because they're looking at their mind. What if you knew that the person was only 20% looking at the road, 80% looking at their mind? You'd feel unsafe, probably. Well, a lot of people are, especially if you're angry. You're like 99% looking at your mind, 1% looking at the road. So what's it going to be like with a woman? Jesus. But that's where the mind contacts reality in fighting and in fucking. And it doesn't have to. You can still be in a total delusion about it. But if you're not raping the girl, you're just talking to her. The reality is, does she like you or not? Is she getting with you or not? Is she hanging out with you or not? Is she opening up to you or not? You're going to have to force it, or it's just going to happen the way it does. And you'll know you have good game or not because she's fine. She obeys. She lasts the ring of fire. She stays with you. She goes through the ups and downs. Like it gets more realer and realer and realer. And the reality, I mean, it just that's like already so advanced for guys. The reality is, you never know she's yours until you have a second girl. She'll say it just like you worship your mind, she worships her mind, and you worship what she says. She says, "Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm cool with it. Yeah, I get it. Men need multiple. I get it. I get it. I get it." And then as soon as the second girl arrives, you give her more attention, blah, blah, blah. You'll have like problems with it. The first time you have a second girlfriend, it's like, bitch, I thought you agreed. She did in her mind, but not in reality. Reality humbles you. You think you're a good fighter, fight someone who can fight. Reality. You think you're a good seducer, go around, find women, go around players, go around AZD and contact reality. That's what real attraction looks like. So why do guys stay stuck? I think that's primary. It's information versus transformation. They worship, oh man, it's not even live on YouTube. What happened? You do not have permission to stream. Oh, well, that's lame. I thought this whole time it was on YouTube.
Yes.
Go ahead, man.
What's it for?
You unmuted? You got something?
Yeah, it's like work. What's up, brother?
What's the
Oh, so I had something earlier. I heard about presence when I watched some of the videos,
yeah.
and I felt like that's huge. And I related it to my close friend because we talked about presence and how important it is in a relationship. And I
Yeah.
was like, what can I do to stay more present? Like
Yes.
having that presence because when I
What did
told
you
you
come
about
up
that,
with?
I haven't even like I thought of it, but I didn't like
Okay.
brainstorm and think about it. And I was like, yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Solo. Solo, you're on too. Solo's trying to get back on the members area. Guys, you want to get on the members area. There is no reality. There is reality. No, see, that would be there is no reality. Not in this art. There's you can argue and debate and word magic a lot of different points of view. And that's where a lot of students drop off with AZD because he'll be like Jesus, and then months later he'll be like Satan, and then months later he'll be like aliens, and then months later he'll be like human nervous system. And it's like, what the fuck is he teaching? And it's like, bro, stop looking at the information as if it's fact. Just look at it as a signpost to guide you to a way of being. He's a living avatar of the game, and he's just an artist. He's not attached to ideas like people are. So he just uses what works. So anyway, Solo dropped off, but anybody that sees this, get on AZDU before the price jumps, which is price jumping is this Friday. So I was going to ask him, but so I'll say something because it's very important. I think most people psychologically, intellectually can admit presence is good for women. Presence is good for relationships. Presence is good in life. It's probably not that good to not be present. I don't know that it's ever talked about positively to not be present. I don't know. So presence is like this desirable thing, but then how do you get better at it, become more present, blah, blah, blah. You can look at
Right.
Eckhart Tolle. You can look at these gurus and whatever that talk about presence. Look up YouTube presence. You'll find a lot of famous people. And this is where
I don't want to study
reality,
presence. I just think like sometimes I lack the thought thereof having the presence that's necessary because
necessary
when
for
I do
what?
find
I
it
would ask.
for somebody's own emotions besides my own, I feel like I'm selfish.
The presence necessary for their emotions?
Yeah,
I see. What is it exactly? Because their emotions, I'm not a slave to them. So I don't want to be present for their
right.
emotions.
Okay.
What
Thanks
he's
for
going?
telling me that.
Yeah,
Well, because then I feel like I'm a manipulator. I'm just a womanizer, and it's like I'm not
good.
that.
I am. I am a manipulator. I am a womanizer. If you look it
Huh.
up, a womanizer is someone who makes a woman more womanly.
Okay, so that's the
And
actual
most people will have.
definition.
You're gonna deal, Brian. I've been in
Yeah.
this a little while, and it's not that my game is so good. What it is my ability to handle suppression is so good. Suppression when people come in and think that you should have their opinions. They call you a womanizer and a manipulator. That sounds like they're a motherfucking manipulator. Are you trying to
Yes.
manipulate me to change what I'm doing by calling me words that you think is going to change my behavior? Or do you know that womanizer just makes women more womanly? Do you not want my woman to be more womanly? I want a womanly
Right.
woman. You could get a hairy armpit.
Like, yeah, like them throwing us off. I feel like that's
Who?
something that would be said in general. Like if I'm out and I'm
Yeah.
trying to shoot my shot, and then I have like a group of guys. I was really into Neil Strauss with the game when that book came out. That was like I was really into that book.
Me
So
too.
if
When
there's
I
like,
said in the beginning that
yeah.
I watched AZD, but then I went another route with game, I went Neil Strauss for a year.
Oh,
And then,
did you really?
yeah,
That's so cool. Yeah, I really liked his book, and he talked about negs, and
yeah.
I still use those to this day where I'm like, well, we're not all perfect, at the end of the day. So,
And then he
if
crashed
somebody
like all the other pickup guys. He had a lot of women, but couldn't do the next level of relationships because you got to have
Mhm.
real value as a nervous system. Still a fidgety, dorky writer. He cleaned himself up and he got more suave and more able to communicate vocally or whatever, but he's still not a fighter. He still doesn't carry alpha presence. He still has fear. And that's why he has to go into all the classical therapy or whatever. And he couldn't handle all the suppression around him. People pigeonholing him into one man, one woman dynamic, which is just the world telling you how you should be. You can
Yeah,
be
that
that
was
if you
huge, the
want, but
pigeonholing thing.
yeah. So to develop presence, that's the thing, man. There's two things that I would say on it. One is what AZD calls coherence. Coherence of a person, their coherence of their nervous system or their psychology in connection to their body, their psychosomatic being or whatever. The integration, that they're more integrated as a person. They're not split. They're there. Presence. Coherence is felt as presence. The second thing I would say is um, that then, okay, so how do you develop coherence? Self awareness, it's just becoming aware of what you're not aware of. So how do you become aware of what you're not aware of about yourself, about your patterns, your unconsciousness, subconsciousness? Because
Oh,
that's where
oh, oh. That's where when I heard earlier it was being sharp and having direct thinking, like being like sharpening yourself up. There was something I listened to earlier on with
yeah,
AZD. It was like being sharp and having direct thinking. And I was like, I'm like lagging, I feel like. And when I listen to it, I'm like, I need that because that could be a way for you
yes.
to have the self-awareness and have, it's like those little checks and reminders in your brain to be like, oh yeah, check if my breath stinks or like check my face really quick, like having those, but obviously something more important with the self-awareness checks, you know?
It's levels. It's levels. It's levels, bro. It would be like the world's greatest basketball player analyzing some person's basketball. It could be gross things, how they hold the ball. It could be their footwork. It could be how they tied their shoelaces. Like how subtle and deep do you want to get? Some things move the
Mhm.
dial more, so you focus on like big things or big weaknesses. Like say the weakest link in the chain is where it breaks. So that's why we focus so much on women, even though AZD is not even teaching game. It's just women is where men break. When if presence depends on coherence, that's where men go incoherent around the beautiful woman or multiple beautiful women, or when the girl's going trying to break up with you because she doesn't like your boundaries or some shit. And it's like that's where you'll fucking flinch, and then it'll fuck up the rest of the areas of life. So becoming coherent and becoming aware of the patterns that are making you incoherent is it's extreme. Man, I don't even think it's possible without other people. And AZD had himself positioned with enough skills and a lifestyle that he had enough women around constantly that he's able to experiment with his own character and see how that ripples through the effects in the women. Versus most guys, if you change your character, you have such infrequent contact with new women and deep relationships that you don't get a lot of feedback, echolocation. You can't really hear where you're at because there's no walls that it's echoing off of. So we have a mastermind of guys, and we go out frequently and we go to similar venues consistently. So we meet a lot of the same girls and some new ones. And so we are in the game getting that feedback. And what that is pressure. You have to experience pressure with other people. Now, if other people don't have, it's not that they have your best interest in mind, it's that they're actually trying to improve. Me and JD or me and Zay or me and Rick or me and Wolf, we wouldn't necessarily be friends outside of IMC Nation, but we have a really deep common purpose of self mastery, and we found a guy his example of self mastery is the best that we've ever seen. That's the level of commitment it takes to live in Vegas. AZD doesn't just let people around him. It's not the price; it's loyalty, it's commitment, it's conviction. Like we got to know what we're here for because he'll push you like a martial arts guru. He'll push you so that you quit, basically, because that's all he wants. The secrets of what he has is, I mean, he'll take him to the grave. He doesn't give a fuck. He's got 9 girlfriends. I mean, if you had 9 girlfriends and celebrity friends that call you every once in a while for girl advice, and you could totally pull a string and get your money. You could make money with any of them. You just don't pull those strings with them. Like you'd be fine in life, bro. Like he doesn't need anything. He's doing it because he is the game. So it wants to pass on, but only to the proper vessel. So the pressure of other people's opinions in field amongst your friends reveals your coherence or incoherence. Now, if you're going out like I'd never say your name right, brother, Niall from Ireland. He's also an AZDU member. He's on the Instagram stream right now on this other device. And so Niall goes out and games every once in a while, like 2, 3 times a week, I think. So there's social pressure, but where do you debrief about it? Where do you unload about it? Where do you reflect with others about it? It's just going to be a distorted mirror. It would be like you trying to analyze your basketball game, but never looking at film or footage and never having a coach feed back to you. You only have to go off of trial and error, just trying to figure it out as you go, and maybe watching YouTube videos or whatever. So to really evolve in this thing, you need the teacher, you need the mastermind, and you need field experience. And that's the practice. And so under the pressure, and then all the other elements of life come in. So if you got money pressures, you still come around the teacher, come around the team, go in field. If you have grieving pressure, mom or dad or dog or homework just died, you still go in field, you still go around the teacher, you're still around the mastermind. If your car just got broken into, if the fucking whatever, dude, all of those are added pressures. But the developmental mechanism here is contact with reality. So you get out of your head, and reality is revealed to you through the mastermind under the guidance of the teacher and the field experience that feeds you back what your structure really is, where you're splitting, where you're going incoherent. When you go through that pressure chamber, you come out more coherent. And then you'll see, as soon as you go home, you're going to have night and day level of presence. Everyone will react to your presence. You see this in guys that go through like a military boot camp training. Not necessarily war, because war may really, really, really traumatize a guy. So can boot camp. But boot camp, they go through ice water and fucking starvation and just rigorousness. And they come back and they have a different presence. The weakling became a strong man. And he doesn't even have to talk. He may even talk less, but he has more presence because he's less destabilized by anything that's going on. You know, there's guys that go to the pen and they come out traumatized, right? They're fidgety. They're always looking over the shoulder. They're whatever. There's guys that come out of the pen present because they had to be strong in there. And then there's everything in between. And you learn through AZD's initiation processes, that's the advanced classes, how to really alchemize everything, all your experiences. I could be a victim of my drug addiction. I could be a victor of my drug addiction. I could be a victim of my first betrayal. I could be a victor of my first betrayal. I could be a victim of my fucking mom washing my mouth out with soap or whatever, leaving me on the side of the street, or I could be a victor of it. It's how you, but then are you faking it? Because under pressure, it will be revealed that you still hate mom, that you're still a drug addict, that blah, 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 blah. The pressure reveals it. So that's where guys are stuck in their ideas, and they're either worshiping their ideas or they know they're phony and they're afraid to come in contact reality. That wouldn't be you, Brian. I'm just saying this for a general audience. This video gets posted or whatever. But guys that have been around a while that avoid coming and meeting AZD, but they still learn from him, they'd rather stay comfortable in how right they think. They think that they're right because they're listening to these like world-class ideas and they agree with them and they're like,
Oh no, I completely get it. Like I've self demolished myself because of other people's perceptions that I might think they might think about me. So I get
yeah.
to that point sometimes too, where I might overthink.
Thank you.
But yeah, I don't take it personally. I'm just here to get
I
better.
get it.
Walk out there,
We
grab
got
Dave.
2 other members on, man. We got Andrew Dominguez. He's also on the stream, and Niall. Guys, you want to come live? Let Brian. He's a new member. Came from Instagram. Week ago, signed up. New guy. The more new guys are coming, man. The free membership's got 135 people in it right now. Paid memberships, 74 people. It's just going to keep growing. So the guys that are in it, you'll see as new guys join, oh shit, I went through that. I went through that. I went through that.
Right. That alone helps.
Yeah, man. Brotherhood helps. It's really real.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, I don't know if you're coming live. You might be busy or something. Okay. Well, that's basically the talk, brother. Do you have any other questions
Okay.
about it?
No, I appreciate your time. I'm so happy just to hear a little bit about presence. And
Yep.
then I can't wait for the next one. Like this
Yep.
feels so great to have something to fall back on, like to where it's like headquarters, like base one. It's base one actually.
It really is.
It really is.
It's not easy to learn from AZD, bro. And the guys here are really strong
Yeah, that's cool.
psychologically. They don't they don't
So,
react.
okay. So I had a thing earlier too. I looked at it was like, what's his name? That really, Andrew Tate. It was Andrew Tate and then um, versus AZD. It was like
Oh yeah,
his
the
fire
YouTube
thing.
video.
I don't
Yeah.
even know. So I was like, holy shit, am I like an op? Like, because I feel like I sometimes go with the fire where I'm like, I got the fire, I got it right now. I feel it. I feel the energy, the vibe. I'm going to use it. Sometimes I'm a little bit over aggressive with it. But after hearing everything and how towards the end when it's like use my method, and not saying his method's not right, but mine doesn't leak. And I was like, yeah, I think that's spot on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's why, Andrew Tate puts his foot in his mouth sometimes, and AZD never does. That's why Andrew Tate's stiff around women. If you've ever seen any footage or anything with women around him, he's very stiff and
Okay.
yeah, and rigid. And um,
Very cool.
yeah, and then that's why you see the guys that follow him. I mean, they just basically are chasing money. They're chasing money to pay for proximity around women, that they can buy big bottles and flashy cars and tables and $40,000 shirts and things like that, so that women will take them seriously. That's
Yeah,
it,
we don't
essentially.
need
Yeah.
being a human being will get a woman in general's attention.
Most likely.
And
Yeah.
I watched the footage and I seen like the two girls, they were like cop dressed like cops. And I watched AZD come in and he opened and then he closed and it was very good. And then it was probably I seen you in the background too. That was cool. And I watched him do it. I was like,
Oh, you mean the
right on,
street
dude.
game video?
Yeah, I was like, right
Yeah,
on, dude.
yeah,
That was
yeah. I was
cool.
there. Yeah, podcaster challenged him, and that's the thing. AZD doesn't do it on the street because there's no reputation, so you can't. It's just based on an instant snapshot of. That's why he doesn't do street game. You're not going to get tens on street game or direct game or anything like that. You only get tens, really get tens. I mean, you don't even get them with yachts and a lot of money. You'll get them for a short time, and arguably every woman's on lease. But AZD still got his original girlfriend of 10 years,
Yeah.
20 years, and she's a 10. He's got a second girlfriend of 17 years, and she's a 10. And then down the line. So there's one example of a long-term relationship with a dime, for lack of a better, a fine woman who's put together, is intelligent enough, can communicate, has humor, looks, aesthetics, can do business. I mean, it's a 10. She's everything that other girls would look up to. Bro, that's a 10. And keeping her for 20 years plus, like, if he had no women, then what would we listen to him for? So I just don't see any other guys with even a 10 to start with. They don't
Yeah.
even have a 10 to begin with, let alone for months, years, decades. So why I say that is because to get a 10, AZD doesn't do direct game and he doesn't do street game. He does
Right.
social venues, field control, becoming the most high value man in a room. He wants to be in competition with other men. Guys who do street game and direct game, they want to be the only man that's talking to her. They don't want competition and amogging and other guys and whatever. AZD would go where there's guys and women, because the most beautiful women want to be around the most dangerous men, because that's the only way that they could possibly ever be safe, is to have a dangerous man. It's their instinct to be with a dangerous man. The only thing that protects her from other men is a dangerous man.
Yes.
So AZD's game goes
Yeah.
right into hell, just right into the middle of that fucking fucked up mix where every guy is looking
Yeah.
at you with venom in his eyes and every woman is just looking to use you and discard you and put you against other guys and see who wins. That's what she's doing.
Okay.
Like, that's a fucked up
So
situation.
that's what we gotta stay on top of more is
That's it.
um the balancing the women's balancing act that they're playing against us.
Yeah, and you stay on top of it by just being so much greater than it, by just having it
Yeah.
totally integrated. You understand that's what it is. You don't even think about it. That's why you don't even think about the game when you learn really AZD's stuff. You just be the kind of man that gets the girls because he's only talking about that. He's only teaching his beingness and his evolution. And as you hear it and adopt it, you just become the kind of guy that girls want to be with.
Right.
And then you learn some other skills along the way, but that's the fundamental. You got to have the foundation to the house, to the skyscraper. Okay, everybody. It's good having you on. I got to get going to the next thing. Join AZD University.
Yes,
if you want to come as a guest, be my guest tomorrow. If you already know about it and, sign up because it's 48 hours, the price doubles. All right, everybody. Salute. Salute, Brian. Thanks for participating. Oh,
thanks, brother.
yeah.
Really?